As we pay tribute to America's veterans tomorrow, we should also take time to consider that some vets are still fighting unseen battles. It's estimated that 450,000 veterans are suffering the effects of traumatic brain injury, TBI. Hardest hit are the men and women who faced IEDs in Iraq, Kuwait, and Afghanistan. I spent time with one veteran who outwardly looks fit and healthy, but on the inside, the war might never end.
I got a call last night that my platoon was bombed. They're guarding a police station.
We first met Ryan Gleach back in 2003. He was home on leave when he got word that his military family in Iraq had been bombed again.
You just don't think it's going to happen to you until it happens to you.
And it did happen to him. In his 5 years in an Army uniform, including tours in Iraq and Kuwait, Ryan received multiple injuries you could see to his body, and those you couldn't to his brain.
You know, we would start talking and he would talk to me, and then I would say something else in the conversation and he would have no clue that we had been talking about something for like 10 minutes.
Because for years I felt like there was something wrong with me mentally, and I mean there was, but almost like there was something wrong with me personally.
It took the VA years to officially diagnose his traumatic brain injury and post-traumatic stress syndrome, even though the symptoms were consistent and nearly non-stop.
Whether that's flashbacks or memory loss issues or
seizures,
daydreams or seizures, but it's constant.
Indeed, Ryan sometimes got lost during our conversation.
What else was going on physically with you?
I'm sorry. They are I used to have a dumb pet.
The military did help him get a support dog that helps Ryan control anxiety from PTSD. It's especially troublesome in large crowds or in the midst of loud noises. And Mo can detect the drop in hormone levels that precede Ryan's seizures.
Yeah.
He'll brace himself on it to keep him from falling.
And that'll happen. Like sometimes I'll walk into walls and stuff like that. And
now Ryan is hoping to use his ongoing medical troubles to help other TBI vets. He's one of 25 injured vets paired up with their siblings of like age for a new brain study.
I was under the understanding that I may or may not get those answers for myself, but the other people that are returning can get helped by the information that I can provide.
Now that you've met one of the veterans who are living with TBI, we want you to meet Dr. Chrisanne Gordon of the Operation Resurrection Foundation. She designed the brain study Ryan Gleach is part of, and she also is behind a new documentary that will be viewed for the very first time this Tuesday in the halls of Congress.
It's very narrow and deep, as is our foundation, dealing with traumatic brain injury and the collaborative efforts that are needed between the civilian world that represents 99% of the resources and the military and VA, which is 1%.
If there are so many people affected, why is it that the veterans can't seem to get the attention to this problem that they deserve?
Right, and I'll tell you, that's what is so beautifully brought out in the documentary by our veterans themselves. And the best answer I can give is that one of our veterans, Chris Lawrence, who will be there at the screening on Tuesday, has a prosthetic from above his right leg down, and it's skull and crossbones, and it looks really gnarly, and he sits there in front of the camera and he says, "This was nothing," and he points to his prosthetic leg. He goes, "I was up and walking around in 2 days." He goes, "I couldn't balance my checkbook for 2 years." Wow. That is the difference. So most of the young people do not have what he calls his visual wounds. And he says it's my visual wounds that get me off the hook. Then people can say, "Oh yeah, buddy, no wonder you're acting a little crazy today, because look what happened to you." But if you don't have that, and the vast majority do not have any other scars or visible wounds, it's very difficult for people to understand that they actually cannot think, they cannot process material like they used to, and that they're going through a hard time.
You were also involved in a screening of veterans who are facing these kinds of issues. Could you explain to us
us what's being done?
Well, I looked at the different studies that were being done, and I talked to my co-chair of the foundation, former Justice Evelyn Stratton, and I said, you know what, all these studies are okay, but none of them combine everything. We need to combine a sibling. We need to make sure that there's nothing genetic here. We need to be able to be the mirror for the country and say, here is the blast wound, here's the damages it causes, and this is how we have to treat it. So she says, why don't we? So we did. We're going to be taking 25 veterans and 25 age-matched siblings. We could not get the study done here in Ohio. We went to Albert Einstein in the Bronx, where Dr. Michael Lipton was one of the first people to pioneer the special neuroimaging required, diffusion tensor imaging. And you have to actually have the equipment and use it for a year and develop normals before you're ever allowed to do research. So we kind of jumped on his bandwagon.
Are you hopeful that eventually we're going to find some kind of a solution and remedies and programs and funding to help these veterans?
Absolutely, I am. I believe that we are on the cusp, and we at Resurrecting Life, starting on November 12th on Tuesday afternoon, are going to challenge those running for office in Congress and the Senate to use this issue. We can fix this. We, the United States of America, can fix the way that we take care of our veterans when they return. If we fix their health care and their employment and their education, we fixed it for the nation.
Central Ohio Congressman Steve Stivers is sponsoring the showing of that documentary on Capitol Hill this Tuesday.